I always thought feminism was a really bad thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like a really bad thing. Like it's this pitting men against women, telling women that we're oppressed and we're oppressed by this patriarchal superstructure and that, every man has it better than every woman. And it always made me think, like, why are we like, I feel like I'm way more privileged than a lot of men.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about men that are like, maybe not good looking, a little bit nerdy, not very charismatic, just not these bros that have high status and get all the girls. And I'm sure they're benefiting off patriarchy, but that's like a small percent. Like I've always found it hard to really get on board with feminism because I don't want to think of myself as a victim.
Yeah, look, I think there was this kind of tussle again early in the second wave, partly because feminists were trying to like assert themselves as a genuine movement, right? So everyone, the women coming out of socialist feminist or Marxist feminist circles constantly being told like class is the only thing that matters. Like if we achieve the class revolution, like women will just be well off because of that one variable. Like stop trying to hijack our movement with your women's issues, right? So I think there certainly were some women that were like, no, actually the fundamental axis of oppression is sex. It's male-female hierarchy and female subordination for male advantage. And I think that's where you get those narratives about like the all-consuming idea that like all women are subordinated to all men. But I think I think we've become a lot more sophisticated than that. I can understand why those women were doing that because they were doing it against a backdrop where they're fighting against race and class to be taken seriously. And there was a jostle for like, which one is fundamental? One of us has to win being the most important one. That's the root of everything else. I think we do tend to think much more like there are multiple axes of advantage and disadvantage today. And that's how I would think about gender critical feminism. It's just saying sex is one axis of, let's call it advantage, disadvantage. And it's something that we might want to talk about, even if we also then eventually have to go out and like put it together with other analyses, like analyses about racism or analyses about all sorts of things that don't even feature in the intersectional lexicon, right? Like people who have experienced child abuse and not. That's not an identity category, but it's something that can really affect how people's lives go. So I think I would just say feminism doesn't, like, I get that people have your sort of reaction to it, right? But I think it's often premised on like somewhat uncharitable understandings of what it actually means to be a feminist, or at least what certain forms of feminism actually have to offer. And I think what gender critical feminism has to offer is just, like sex matters quite a lot of the time. It certainly matters in lots of these circumstances where it's being like challenged or erased now. Feminist analysis can be really helpful, like analysis of pornography or of, culture around casual sex, for example, or consent. So we sometimes need those analyses. Nothing in there says you have to be committed to this idea of like patriarchy as a kind of conspiracy theory, or the idea that no black man is ever worse off than you,
Well, what I relate to is what you're saying about sex. Like we are, like I understand that, that disadvantage. Like I can't. There are certain things that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The things that happen to women because of our sex are different, and we always have to be aware of that. I think maybe carry on. Go.
No, I was just going to say I think that's right, and I think we have to fight for that, because I've just noticed there's this real disrespect of, like, people are willing to respect race and class, I think, too, to some extent, like that those are genuine experiences that people in those groups have had, and racism really matters and is real, but people are just handing away women and these kind of concepts of sexism and misogyny, right? They're just handing them away. And I think we still need them. So like you're saying, these things just do matter in some important circumstances for how our lives go. And we need the concepts to talk about them, and we need the theory to like, yeah, to work that stuff out. Like, what is pornography? Hate propaganda against women? I think maybe. And I think we need the feminists like working on that to like shed some light on it and tell us about that stuff as like the sorts of harms that it is or what it's doing to people. That is feminist work, and it's work that we would lose something if we didn't have that.